Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video looking at the most recent video from the devs explaining some new features and details for Season 3. Before I jump into the video, I wanted to let everyone know that I'm going to be going live on YouTube for the start of Season 3. Previously, we've only streamed over on Twitch, but I had some suggestions to at least give YouTube a try, and I made a poll that a lot of you participated in. It was pretty clear that there was at least some interest in giving it a try and seeing how that worked for the community. So we're going to be trying that out for the start of Season 3. Which will be right when it launches. As soon as it goes live and the servers are up, I will be live. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. And if you want to join the Discord, that's linked down below, and there'll be more information coming out on that as well. But now let's go ahead and get into this video. So the basic premise of this video, I mean, honestly, shout out to the devs for trying to make it thematic and cool. They dressed up as Gandalf and Radagast. And I mean, it's a little cheesy, but I do think there are other games and devs where they would just not even consider doing this. So shout out to them for giving it a shot. But we did get some really good information on Season 3. So we're going to break down what that is. So maybe if you don't want to watch this whole video, I can give you the cliff notes here. But basically starting out, we have some looks at what Season 3 is going to look like. We did get a confirmed full map picture of the season, which is going to be coming up here in a second, where basically we can see this is what the layout of the map is going to be. It does not seem like the size of the map is going to change at all. So it's going to be pretty packed in here. And they also mentioned in this video that the starting regions or starting areas for the players will be reduced.
In other words, due to the chaos of this conflict, each faction's spawn points will be somewhat reduced.
I'm not super excited about this change. We'll see how it works out. But basically, they're adding a lot more factions, and instead of expanding the map or doing something like that, they are kind of just making it smaller. So I feel like we already have a lot of factions, and there's already a lot of player inactivity in factions. So certain factions die off really quickly, and certain ones get really powerful. So I don't necessarily know if adding more factions and not more space is going to help. But again, we will see. They did say they're wanting more of an emphasis on expansion in different territories because there's going to be less resources and things to get. So it sounds like they really want to push people out of the farming all season to actually getting out there and fighting. So I think that could be good, but at the same time, it might limit some players who like to play certain ways. So we'll see how they respond to that. There's also going to be a new feature where you can garrison commanders inside of different structures, which is going to level them up and basically let them give more buffs and different things and maybe even different neutral unit camp abilities to your faction. So it looks like the higher level you get, you're going to get more bonuses. And they basically talked about how they wanted everyone to have access to neutral units. So they're going to allow players to, I think, craft neutral unit camps just like they would a fort once they reach certain requirements in these different areas. They did not specify whether in roleplay and non-roleplay there'd still be a difference. Are good characters going to be able to craft Mumakil? I don't know. They didn't specify, and I still would be surprised if they did that because that's the whole point of the roleplay server is to stay a little bit more thematic. But as you can see here, you can garrison your troops into these structures to level them up and get them more bonuses. Again, here's another look at how that could look where you got the different areas. And as you can see, as you level them up, you get different things at each level. And I think these are different neutral unit camps at each of these lower levels. So again, I would assume certain areas would have certain things to keep it a little bit interesting, but we'll see how many levels, because obviously it's got an arrow here, so it can at least go above the 3 that are listed here. There's going to be a new type of fort. It's like a defensive fort that once occupied, there will be AI controlled mobs that kind of, it sounds like, patrol the area that fort was taken in and take tiles for your faction to increase the power for your faction.
Defensive camp runes have been added to the game. Those will give players the opportunity to capture them, which will create mercenaries that will defend or clear specific areas of the map in the name of your faction.
So it's going to look like this. It's like a defensive ruins. So it's going to be similar looking or the exact same looking to what we have now, but it looks like it will serve a different purpose. Well, there will be, AI controlled kind of mob type commanders that will go out and take tiles either for you or for your faction. So kind of interesting there, but we'll see how that ends up working out. They did mention Dolgador, and I'm not super excited about this either because it does sound like it's basically going to play the exact same role in Season 3. They are adding a lot more structure bonuses for it. They actually said in the video that it's going to double your territory limit. So We'll see what the exact numbers are when it the season starts and we can look at this stuff. But it sounds like they're making that ideally a little bit more desirable for players to do. I just wish we got a little bit more of a shuffle for just like, okay, we've gone to the same area and did the same thing every season. So it'd be nice if they just picked somewhere else and did something a little bit different. But it sounds like it's going to be a very sought after location. My worry is that if there is a player imbalance and towards the end of the season, as players die off in certain factions, since it's so packed in there, that it's just going to be the same thing where one faction gets it, they get it and get even more powerful and are just like uncontested the rest of the season. But again, I know they're trying to balance it, so they're not just throwing things in here. So hopefully it does actually play out well in Season 3.
A neutral camp field barracks will be available for players to build, provided their structure has reached the appropriate development level. After this, all players in the same faction will be able to recruit the corresponding neutral unit if its camp has been constructed.
Here's a quick look of what the neutral unit kind of camp feature will look like. They've added some filters here where you can sort by men, elves, evil men, beasts. There might even be more. Again, maybe this is just for good. I don't know. But there is a tier 3 unit called the Keeper, which I think is going to be a neutral unit. But again, the details weren't I feel like 100% clear on this. So I'm waiting until the new season starts to make any huge assumptions about how this is going to work. But long story short, it does seem like they're trying to make neutral units more available for more people, since it is a fun kind of variety in the game. So this is a picture of how that menu could look, or part of that experience. And then they went and answered 3 questions that were submitted by people in the game, in the community. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I feel like it was a lot of questions they just said no to, but I guess it's good to have an answer for some of these things. But someone asked about a day-night cycle, and they said they're considering it, but right now they're not sure how to implement that because there's just such a wide variety of players all over the world. So they don't want it to be if it's going to be too long of a cycle, for some players, their daytime would just be like nighttime all the time in the game or whatever. I think they could just do this and have shorter cycles, 6 or even less hours, 2 or 4 hours, just it's kind of cycling around. I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. But they are considering day and night cycles right now, which could also mean they're considering something like weather cycles. So we'll see about that. Another question was if different tiles will start to have different colors for each faction. And they basically said no, just because there's so many and some are closer and more similar, it would just kind of get crazy. So no, there's just going to be the same colors that we have for tiles in the game right now. There was another question about bosses. I think this was in reference to Heart of a Hero, to wondering if we're getting different or more bosses. And they said, yes, we will be getting more bosses in the future. They did not say it would specify specifically with Season 3, but in the future, we're going to be getting more bosses. So pretty vague on this stuff, but still, I mean, it's better than nothing. I think I did these out of order, but this is a question on the Red Book of Westmarch. And this was probably the most disappointing of the questions, because basically it was just hey, are we doing more Red Book? And they've answered before, they are working on a new feature that might be similar to Red Book, but it's not necessarily starting in Season 3. So no, there's not. I don't think there's going to be a refresh. It's just they're focusing on a new game in the future, which is fine. But in my opinion, I don't understand why you wouldn't just refresh something like Red Book that I feel like would be kind of a non-issue. It's extra gear and extra resources, especially being free to play. But it sounds like they're really waiting for this new event, but it's not starting with Season 3. At least it's not confirmed that it is yet. So they said, there's going to be new events similar to it, but not starting yet. But that's mostly what was talked about in this video. I'm going to link this down below if you want to check it out. It was a lot of stuff. It's almost a 13-minute video, and there is a little bit of banter back and forth. So I was kind of trying to cut through some of that just to get to the information for you. So if you want to watch this yourself and look through, there was a good amount of stuff. But it does seem like they're really wanting to focus on expansion, getting players out there, fighting over territories, and then being able to even kind of upgrade or garrison troops into field or into specific structures, different keeps to level them up, which are going to have abilities to help your faction, including possible neutral camp, conscription type of things. So we'll see exactly how it looks when the season starts, or if we get more details on how that will look when it gets closer. But again, this was the most recent Devs in the Tavern video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in a future video.